In this video, I'm going to break down what you might expect if you were attending basic training in the United States Army. What's up, friends? I am U.S. Army veteran Christopher Chaos, and I figured I'd give you a good explanation as to kind of what to expect from basic training for the United States Army. Either if you're going into the Army soon, you're thinking about joining the Army, maybe you're just interested in military stuff, or you're a veteran and curious as to has anything changed since I went to basic training. I can definitely tell you that things have changed since I went to basic training back in '99. There are some things that have been added to it. When I went to basic training, I believe it was 8 weeks, including reception, so that was really 9 weeks of basic training, and now it's 10 weeks because they've added some more stuff to it. So that's what I'm gonna do in this video, is kind of break down a week-by-week breakdown of what to possibly expect from basic training. Now just be aware it may be a little bit different from the way I'm about to tell you of how basic training is laid out. You may be currently going to basic training soon, or just came out of basic training, and it may not be the exact same way that I tell you. And that's because sometimes people want to put their own kind of flavor into the recipe and change things up and change the way they do training based on their own personal experiences in combat or whatever the case might be. So just be aware, this is just kind of the general outline of what you could possibly expect from basic training based on some previous experiences that people have gone through from basic training and some documentation that's online and available for anybody to really research. So all right, let's get into it and let's talk about basic training for the United States Army. Currently, there are 4 locations that conduct Army basic training. Those locations include Fort Benning, Georgia, which is where I went to basic training back in '99, Fort Jackson, South Carolina, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and Fort Seal, Oklahoma. When you're going off to basic training, they have like a list of things to bring and not to bring. Those include things like cell phones, even though people usually bring them and then they can just leave them turned off because you're not going to get to use your cell phone most likely. And then they don't want you bringing too much cash, usually between like $10 and $50. And then they have some other things they would like you bring and not bring. I'm going to leave a link down below to the Army's website where they list all the things that they would like you to bring and they don't want you to bring. That way, if you are actually going off to basic training and nobody really told you this stuff, you can check that link down below and it tells you what to bring and what not to bring. Now the first week is week 0, or reception week. And that includes a lot of paperwork, getting things together, getting an ID card, getting dog tags, getting a haircut. Also during that week, you're gonna do an initial PT test or physical fitness test. For this physical fitness, it's a really low standards compared to your normal physical fitness test that the Army does. It's just a real basic understanding of your physical condition before you move on to doing all the hard stuff in basic training. So like the run is only like a 1-mile run. You still do push-ups and sit-ups, but they're much, much lower standards than you'll do in the actual APFT. Also during this week, you're gonna get your uniforms issued to you, some of your gear that you may need. You're also going to do a little bit of marching, a little bit of like barracks maintenance as far as like cleaning up the area. Also during this time frame, the drill sergeants are a lot more relaxed than they will be when you move on to week 1. They're not really gonna be yelling at you unless you guys are really screwing stuff up, but for the most part, they're just kind of there to get you from point A to point B, get you prepared, making sure that you're going to bed and making sure you're cleaning up, and then push you off to the actual drill sergeants that will start yelling at you like crazy. So then after week 0, you're all in process, you got your uniform and everything like that, and then you're off to a different area because you start off in a reception area and then you'll move over to where you're actually going to be staying for the rest of the time and actually conducting the training. And that moves you over into week 1, which is the red phase. Now red phase will last from week 1 to week 3, and the phases may kind of vary from different basic trainings. I know like when I went to Fort Benning, Georgia back in '99, we didn't have any phases. It was just week 1, week 2, week 3 and everything. But then like when I got out of basic training, I talked to other people who were doing basic training at other locations, and they did have different phases that they called everything for. So you may or may not hear it being called any phase. It may just be week 1, week 2, and so on and so forth. So in week 1, you're gonna leave from the reception area to the actual area you're gonna be doing your training. Either you're gonna march over there or you're gonna ride on a bus or something to take you over there. And it's probably going to be hell at first. You're gonna come off that bus or you're gonna be marching somewhere. You're gonna have all your gear, your duffel bag and everything, and then out of the woodworks, all these drill sergeants are gonna come out and start yelling at everybody, telling you to do all sorts of craziness. They're going to see if they can break you right off the bat, see who the weak ones are, who the strong ones are, who are the ones that they're gonna really wanna test throughout these next 9 weeks. They're then going to separate you guys into platoons. You're gonna be broken down into different platoons and squads, and they're probably gonna designate probably someone to be a platoon sergeant. Usually if there is a higher ranking person, like somebody who's got some college experience and they coming in as a specialist or a PFC or something, they're gonna designate those people as probably platoon sergeants. They're also gonna bring you into your barracks and they're probably gonna do an inventory and make you dump out your duffel bag and they're gonna be on you. They're gonna be calling off items, and you better have that stuff ready. If you take too long to find it, they're probably gonna give you hell. Probably gonna be doing a lot of push-ups and a lot of craziness, regardless if you did something wrong or not. They're just gonna try and see what they can do to you and try to break you, see who's gonna have a breakdown or who's gonna be able to tough it out. So to give you an idea of the daily schedule-ish, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a breakdown of what your day could look like. At 4:30 in the morning, they are gonna come in, they're gonna wake you up. They're gonna turn on the lights, they're gonna bang some trash cans, they're gonna start yelling to get you out of bed, and you better not be one of those people that have a hard time rolling out of bed, because if so, you could be in for a long day. After they wake you up at 4:30, you have about 20-ish minutes to brush your teeth, shave, make your bed, do anything you gotta do before you need to be outside for formation. By 5 o'clock in the morning, you need to be outside in formation, and that's when you guys are gonna start some physical training. That'll last for probably about an hour, and you'll be doing different things: running, push-ups, sit-ups, all sorts of different exercises, stretching, and all sorts of stuff before you move on to breakfast at about 6 o'clock. Now, you don't have very long to eat breakfast. You can't be sitting around yakking with all your battle buddies and everything about how the morning went or anything like that. No, it's pretty much grab your food, sit down, do not look around, eat your food, get up, and get outside. Because then by 6:30, you're probably already starting doing some training. You'll likely conduct training from about 6 o'clock in the morning all the way until noon, where at that time you'll then go to lunch. Lunch will also be done in the chow hall, same kind of deal. Grab your food, sit down, eat it, get up, get outside, because at 12:30, they're going back to training. Training is then gonna last from about 12:30 until 5 p.m. At that point, it's off to dinner. Same thing applies, because sit down, eat, and get up, and then at 5:30, you got more to do. Usually at this time, about 5:30, the drill sergeants are probably gonna be talking to the soldiers, maybe doing some additional training if they feel necessary. And then at some point in time, when you guys start receiving mail, that's when they'll probably do mail call and start issuing out mail. And then at 8 o'clock p.m., you're gonna have a little bit of personal time. That's time to take a shower if you need to, get some clothing ready for the next day, organize your wall locker, maybe write some letters. At some point later, maybe in the phase, maybe not right away, you're gonna be allowed to use some phones and everything, but don't expect that right off the bat. And then by about 9 o'clock p.m., it's lights out unless the drill sergeants decide they want to mess with you for a while. So week one's gonna be a combination of different things. A combination of classroom instruction, some marching, some stuff that you're gonna be doing outside, as well as a lot of cleanup probably, and a lot of just getting messed with so that the drill sergeants can, see if you can handle pressure, see if you can handle the stress. During the first week, also probably going to do another physical fitness test. It's going to be a little bit closer to the one you would do when you're actually fully in the Army and out of basic training. This is just another physical fitness test to try to evaluate where your weaknesses are, who's going to have to do some extra physical fitness to be able to get up to standards by the time it comes to take the actual physical fitness test that's going to count for graduation. You're also going to learn drill and ceremonies, which is like how to march, how to salute. You'll probably learn some of the rank structure. You'll probably also receive some classes on the Army values, which the Army values, they use an acronym called leadership, but it's not spelled like you actually spell leadership. It's LDRSHIP, and each one of those letters stand for a different value. Those are going to be loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. And each one of those means something, and that's what they're going to kind of be going over in the class as far as what each of those values mean and how you're supposed to apply that as a soldier. Next, you move on to week 2, which includes more training. So during this week, you're going to learn some hand-to-hand combat or some combatives, which is essentially Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. You'll also likely do some map reading, some land navigation, and how to use a compass. And you'll also have like a course that you'll probably practice some of these fundamentals on, to how to navigate from point A to point B using a map and a protractor and a compass. You're also going to have kind of like a confidence course or obstacle course where you're going to have to really work as a team, and that's kind of what they're focusing on, is how well you work together as a team to accomplish these tasks and get through these obstacles, and you'll probably do something like that during week 2 as well. And you'll also do some first aid training where you're going to learn how to add a dressing to a wound, or how to help a soldier who's dehydrated. So you're probably going to have to give someone an IV and also receive some IVs from another individual as well. Next, we move on to the final week of red phase, which is week 3. During this week, you'll likely do what they call the Pugil Stick event. This is where they have these big things like maybe you've seen on American Gladiator, where you're beating each other up with these poles and pads on the ends and wearing helmets and stuff and just kind of beating each other up. You're also going to do some different events where you're going to have to probably carry somebody and carry some equipment through like some obstacles or from point A to point B. This is also often the week that you will conduct the gas chamber. Now the gas chamber can be a rough one. This is where you're going to be exposed to CS gas. They're going to teach you how to use a pro mask, the protective mask that the Army issues. teach you about kind of the mop posture and all the mop gear that you use for a chemical contamination. And then you're gonna be put inside of a room and exposed to CS gas. Now, I've been exposed to CS gas several times. I have never been exposed to pepper spray. So from talking to people who have been exposed to both pepper spray and CS gas, I understand pepper spray is worse than CS gas. So if you have ever been exposed to pepper spray, then just know that it's probably worse than CS gas. But the drill sergeants, the morning of going to the gas chamber, they're gonna mess with you. They're gonna tell you, eat a big breakfast. And they're doing that because they wanna laugh at you when you're throwing up all over the place because you went to the gas chamber and are now throwing up all your breakfast. So that's commonly around the time of when you guys are gonna go to the CS chamber, and that is after breakfast sometime. You probably ride a bus or march up to the CS chamber and go through the drill. Now, stories may vary as far as what you're gonna do inside the CS chamber. When I went through it, we simply went inside of it with our gas mask on, stood in line. Once we got to the front of the line, we had to take the mask off, recite this big long speech that they had us memorize previously, say some information about ourselves, and then maybe do, I think, a couple push-ups, and then they kicked us out. So you're gasping for breath, your eyes are watering, your nose is running like crazy, and you're trying to get all these words out, and it seems like forever, and it's only maybe like 30 seconds, maybe a minute that you're kind of being exposed to this gas. I've also heard other stories of people where they'll have them do some exercises while they have the mask on, break the seal, and then put it back on and make sure they've resealed it properly. And then they'll go up and get in line and do some little things where they maybe take the mask off and say some stuff, put it back on, and then leave the gas chamber. So it may vary, but overall, you're gonna get exposed to some CS gas. It's gonna suck really bad. Most likely, unless you have a high tolerance for that kind of stuff. I did see a few people where they were able to take it and they didn't care and it didn't bother them at all. But most people, they're gonna get watery eyes, runny nose, coughing like crazy. It's gonna be difficult to breathe, but you're not gonna die. So you may feel like you're gonna die, but you're not gonna die. So then you leave the gas chamber, usually have you walk around in circles for a while to try to get the gas off of you and get the fresh air and kind of get your lungs, cleared out and everything. And then the hell of the CS chamber is over. They probably took a bunch of photos or some video, and at some point in time later, you're gonna see that video footage or those photos of you just looking horrible. In fact, now that I think about it, I think somewhere's at home back in California, my parents have a VHS tape of me going through the gas chamber. I should try to find that someday. Also, during week 3, you're gonna be introduced to your M16 or M4, whatever that unit has to issue out. Now, you're not gonna actually be doing any firing of the weapon. You're just gonna be introduced to how it operates, how to do proper firing of the weapon, like trigger squeeze and everything, and breathing control. And you're also gonna learn how to take apart the weapon, put it back together, how to clean it, how to do maintenance on the weapon. However, in some cases, you may do this in week 1, but in other cases, you may do this in week 3. So that part is gonna vary maybe as far as if you learn how to use the weapon in week 1, or if you learn how to use it in week 3. Next, you move into the white phase, which lasts from week 4 to week 6. Now, during this phase, you're gonna be doing a lot more with weapons. You're gonna be doing several different things. It's not really broken down the same way as 1, 2, and 3 is. During week 4 through 6, you're gonna be working on a lot of stuff with like weapons, for example. Here's where you're gonna learn how to actually fire your weapon and physically fire it, as well as other different weapons. You'll also probably get familiarization with hand grenades, as well as grenade launchers and anti-tank weapons. You're probably also gonna have a different type of obstacle course or confidence course you're gonna have to go through during this phase as well. And also along the way, you're gonna be doing a lot more marching and drills and ceremonies and everything. And then they're also gonna evaluate your weapon skills as a pass or no-go kind of event. And you're gonna have to pass this stuff before you can really move on to the next phase. But at the end of the phase, probably during week 6, you're also gonna do another familiarization physical fitness test to see if you're improving from what you did before during that second one that you did when you first started week 1. Next is the final phase, phase 3, or the blue phase. Here you're gonna get into some more weapon training, as well as start doing more road marches. Earlier in the phases, you may have done some short ones, some small road marches. At this phase though, you're gonna start doing a little bit bigger ones, some 10Ks and 15K road marches. Also during this phase, you're gonna be expected to do your final APFT, your final PT test to be able to graduate. If you fail that, then they're probably gonna give you another chance, maybe like the week after or something like that. Usually give you a little bit more exercise. You're probably gonna have to do PT twice a day or something if you're not already doing that because you did horrible on the kind of preliminary PT tests. But usually you'll get maybe a second attempt if you are not able to pass it on the first try, and that could vary between different schoolhouses. You'll also be doing some live fire training here. and you're also gonna have to do what's called an FTX, which is a field training exercise, where you'll probably spend a couple days. It may vary as far as how they do it, but out in the field, sleeping under the stars, you know, doing guard duty, digging foxholes, and probably doing some other little force on force kind of action. That field exercise usually caps everything off, and usually do a really long road march back, and they have, like, you know, cool stuff happening, maybe some fireworks, maybe something cool, I don't know. It may vary as far as what drill sergeants have going on, but expect after that FTX to probably have to do some kind of crazy road march back, and that's kind of how you kind of cap off the whole training experience of basic training. Because then after that, you're moving on to graduation time. They're gonna be doing a lot of practice and everything for the ceremony for graduation, and you're gonna be doing a lot of marching and all sorts of maybe craziness to prepare for graduation, as well as cleaning the hell out of the barracks probably. And then probably somewhere's in there, maybe the day before graduation or the day of graduation, they're gonna give you family time. So if you did have family to come out and watch your graduation, they're gonna allow you for so many hours or whatever to go and, you know, show them around and hang out with them for a little while. I don't know if it's still like this, but like my parents didn't come all the way out to Georgia from California to watch me graduate, so it was really just me and a few other people that didn't have their family come out, and we got to take off on our own and go do whatever we wanted within, you know, the realm of certain things, of course. So we took off, went to the mall, had some junk food, and went and watched a movie. At that time, we went and saw the movie Three Kings. And then after that, you're off to your AIT, or Advanced Individual Training. Either you're staying there to do your AIT, or you're off to wherever your AIT is located at. So there you go. That is just kind of a generic rundown of what you could expect for basic training in the United States Army. Again, like I said, it's gonna vary because different people are gonna put their own kind of spin on things and do things a little bit differently, and things are gonna happen where things are gonna change, and we're not gonna do it this way, or we're not gonna do it during this week, we're gonna do it during that week, whatever the case might be. If you recently did basic training, maybe within the last couple of years, leave me some comments down below. I'd love to hear, you know, how close that kind of breakdown was, what things were different at your basic training, or what was the same. And if you're about to maybe go off to basic training or thinking about joining the Army, what scares you and what are you excited about? And of course, my fellow veterans, if you would like to share some basic training stories from back in your day, please feel free to do so down in the comments as well. So if you liked the video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, because that's the awesome thing to do. If you want to check out some other content, I got some videos right over there that you can check out that are pretty cool. I'm a little biased, but they're cool. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. You won't regret it. You might regret it, but you won't probably regret it. I'm Christopher Chaos, and I'll see you next time. See ya.